The PRS Silver Sky Se is back in fashion again. Did it ever go out of fashion? With the new colours and fretboards released, finally we get maple on the SEs. Looks way better in my opinion. Check out this Summit Purple. Ooh. Or maybe you prefer the Nylon Blue. I do. But before you go and get your credit card out, if you're looking for a potentially equally as good Strat-esque guitar for way less, then you might find this interesting. Finally, the wait is over. It's here. The top to tail, head to head, toe to toe versus shootout comparison battle that no one wanted. Or even asked for. But here it is. It's the PRS SE Silver Sky versus the Jet JS300. Two S-type guitars in quite different price brackets. First, we're going to list the specs on each, then we're going to hear some tones, then award points for each attribute on each guitar. You can skip all that if you want, there's chapters at the bottom there. This might be a long one, apologies in advance. I've went through almost every spec with an 18-point comparison. Let's see who wins. Specs for the PRS SE Silver Sky. We have an S-type body shape. S-type is the super secret guitar code for Stratocaster inspired, just in case you were not aware. It's made of poplar and dragon fruit with a high gloss finish. It weighs in at 7.02 pounds, let's just call that 7 pounds, which is fairly lightweight. 3 Alnico 5 single coil pickups with the designation 635JMS, 5-way selector switch, master volume and 2 tone controls with no text on them. The second tone control is wired to the bridge, which is a nice touch. Bolt on neck, slightly rounded heel joint, and this nice little cutaway contour on the front of the lower horn to help with your upper fret access. The neck is maple with a rosewood fretboard. The neck profile is the 635JM, which is a bit like a C shape, maybe slightly more rounded. 22 frets, small bird inlays, 25.5 inch scale and quite a unique 8.5 inch radius. 42mm bone nut. Hardware, we've got a modern 2-point trem with a push-in trem arm, vintage style bent saddles, 3-ply pickguard and the jack socket access on the front of the body. Plastic tuning keys and a 2-way adjustable truss rod. No need for any string trees with the design of this headstock, as it creates a much better pitch angle for the strings from the nut to the posts. Pickup output readings, bridge 7.06k, bridge and middle 3.63k, middle 7.31k, middle and neck 3.66k, and the neck is 7.18k. Specs for the Jet JS300. This one is made from linden or basswood, which is apparently the same thing. It's in seafoam green with a high gloss finish. 3 ceramic single coil pickups, 5-way selector switch, master volume and 2 tone controls. The second tone control is not wired to the bridge pickup. Bolt on neck, square heel joint, and this nice little cutaway contour on the back of the lower horn to help with the upper fret access. The neck is listed as Canadian maple. It doesn't say it's roasted, but I'm pretty sure that it is. The fretboard is listed as roasted maple. It's a modern C shape, 22 frets, black dot markers, 25.5 inch scale and a 9.5 inch radius. 42mm bone nut. Hardware, we've got a vintage 6 style screw trem with a push-in trem arm, which is a nice touch. Vintage style bent saddles, 3-ply pickguard and the jack socket access on the front of the body. This guitar comes in at 6.82 pounds, which I think is the lightest of any of the Jets or Fazleys that I've had so far. Chrome tuners and a string tree and a 2-way adjustable truss rod. Pickup output readings are the bridge is 5.24k, bridge and middle 2.61k, middle 5.15k, middle and neck 2.56k and the neck is 5.07k. Now here's some tones. Each pickup position, clean and dirty, going through the Line 6 HX Stomp XL direct into a Roland Go Mixer Pro X. The cleans are with a Fender twin style amp with a touch of reverb, and the dirty channel is 2 stacked overdrives, a TS9 type and an OCD type, with the same reverb applied as on the clean tones. Enjoy! So that's what they sound like. Take from that what you like. Any preference? Let me know. Now, some of these scores are going to be more factual, like one spec is unarguably better than the other, whereas others will be down to your own and my own personal preferences. So your final scores will likely differ from mine's. So let me know in the comments where you would score it differently. Or if you'd add extra categories, just in case 18 wasn't enough. What did I miss? Let me know in the comments. Number 1. Headstock / string trees. Although I do prefer the visual aesthetic of the Jet's F-style headstock, I like that the PRS 3-a-side headstock design with not too severe a break angle eliminates the need for string trees, but I'd rather not have the fuss of a truss rod cover. It's just extra hassle. First point goes to PRS. Well done. Number 2. Nuts. This one is a bit tricky. I'm kind of against using bone as a nut material in general. Can we not just use Graph Tech on everything? I'd happily pay the extra £14.26 for that. But bone will be seen by the majority to be the superior material over the PRS's synthetic bone, which, let's be honest, it's plastic. So although I'm personally against bone, I think I reluctantly have to give this point to Jet. Number 3. Tuners. This is another kind of tricky one. I have problems with both. The Jet tuners, Unfortunately, the tuners on these are the single weakest point of the guitar. They're not great. I have to say, I didn't experience any issues with the tuners on this particular guitar, but I've had my hands on about a dozen of these Jets and Fazleys with these exact tuners, and they grind, washers have broken, they just generally don't function very well. Although you could upgrade these to something way better, even locking tuners for £30 or something. I think there's a video on that up there, check it out. I like the shape and size of the PRS machine heads, but I don't like the cheap plastic feel or that light grey colour. There's nothing else on the guitar, except for maybe the unnecessary truss rod cover, that aesthetically complements this, in my opinion. But they do function as they should. Point to PRS. Number 4, neck. Both have got dual action truss rods. We've got roasted Canadian maple on the Jet versus maple on the PRS. The 635 JM neck carve on the PRS is John Mayer's super special signature neck carve. I said this in my previous review of this guitar, that John Mayer has extraordinarily large hands and exceptionally long fingers, and especially thumbs. He's mentioned this before in interviews, check it out. This is part of the reason where he could pull off complicated tunes like Neon while singing, whereas us mere mortals with normal sized hands might struggle. It should also be noted that John Mayer is slightly talented. He's what us Scots would class as no bad on old banjo. So I can't think of any reason why a neck carve specifically designed for John Mayer's alien digits would be perfect for the majority of us other humans. I didn't like it. The Jet neck carve is identical to a Fender Modern C, same as what you would get on a Fender player or the old USA standards. Disclaimer, I've never actually measured this, and I've said in a few videos now that it's the same neck carve, but I'm just going by feel alone. But I've been playing this Fender neck profile carve for about 20 years now on different guitars, and I'm fairly confident it's the same. Like 93% certain. Jet takes this point for being the more human-friendly neck profile. Number 5, fretboards and frets. The PRS has the quite unique 8.5 inch radius on rosewood with small bird inlays. The Jet has 9.5 inch on roasted maple with dot inlays. It's good to see we've got real rosewood on the PRS, so for some that's going to be a massive bonus, although as we know we can now get maple. And the bird inlays seem to divide opinion across the board. Roasted maple is also a bit of a divisive spec. Is it all just a fad like Tamagotchis and hoverboards, or are they legit? Personally, I'm a massive fan of roasted maple, and I've never really liked rosewood. The birds, I could take them or leave them. It wouldn't be a deal breaker, but I think I prefer the simplicity of the dots. So for me, Jet wins this one. Number 6, neck heel joint. This is an easy one. The PRS has a more rounded, carved and thinner neck heel joint, and the Jet has the more traditional, bulkier, square neck heel joint. PRS wins this one easy, but Jet has another model, the JS400, which has a much nicer rounded neck heel, like this. Its HSS has a surprisingly decent 2-point trim, and it only costs about £10 more than the Jet JS300, but that wouldn't be a fair comparison, would it? Point to PRS. Number 7, body material and contours. Poplar on the PRS versus basswood on the Jet. The tonewood debate continues. Pick a side and give the point to whichever one you like. For me, on paper, I can't tell the difference. The PRS at 7.02 pounds, well, let's just call that £7. It's nice to have a lightweight guitar, but this felt too light and cheap to me for a guitar at this price. The Jet actually weighs slightly less, but it's quite light compared to some of the other Jets I've had my hands on. But somehow the Jet just feels more dense to me. The contours on both guitars are nice. Each one has a carve on the lower horn, with the PRS one being on the front and the Jet one being on the back. I've found that each of them do improve the access to the high frets. Point to Jet. Number 8, pick guards. A fairly standard white 3-ply pick guard on the PRS and a 3-ply pick guard on the Jet. But I really don't like the cream coloured plastics on the Jet. They're not even the same shade as the other plastics. The knobs, switch tip and pickup covers. Point to PRS for me, for bad plastics from the Jet. Number 9, pickups. Although I didn't think the pickups were amazing on either of these, I didn't really have a preference until I listened back to the tone samples. I think I might prefer the PRS ones marginally, especially on the distorted tones. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. What sounded better to you? For around £50 to £100, depending on what you go for and whether you buy new or used, you could radically improve the Jet pickups to something of your preference and still not be anywhere near the price of the PRS. Personally, I'd probably want to change the PRS pickups too. Point to PRS. Number 10, Controls, electronics, switch. I didn't really have any issue with either guitar, they both felt kinda like for like. I'm just going to blindly assume that the PRS has better quality components, just due to the price, but that may well be a mistake. The PRS wins this point anyway for having the second tone control wired to the bridge pickup. Good move. Number 11, bridge / trem. The trem on the Jet is actually quite decent, but again, I'd spend the extra £10 and get the Jet JS400 with the 2-point trem, which is surprisingly good. The PRS trem worked fine, but I probably should have spent a bit more time to dial it in a bit better. Another blind assumption that the PRS trem will be the better unit, as they're well known for making some of the best trems around. Another point to PRS. Number 12, jack sockets. This is an easy one. The PRS has a refreshed design on the traditional jack socket, with these elegant embossed curves, which look pretty snazzy to be fair. The jack socket on this particular Jet did work perfectly well, but I did have to replace the jack sockets on two Fasley guitars quite recently. If you're wondering why I'm mentioning Fasley guitars, it's because the Finicas are the exact same guitars as the Jets, made in the same factory by the same team to the same specs, but they're cheaper. There's a video on that up there if you want to check that out. So I'd have to assume the Jet components are on par with the quality of the tuners, which ain't great. Another point to PRS. Number 13, strap buttons. I think we could all agree this is probably the most important spec of them all. The PRS has a nice rounded strap button, which makes it much easier to get your strap on. Another point for PRS. Number 14, back plates. Potentially equally as important as strap buttons. The PRS back plate. I like that it's only 4 screws. That's plenty, but I don't like that it's only single ply. It doesn't match the 3-ply pickguard on the front, and that's just not good enough. Even though I don't like the cream plastics on the Jets, at least the backplate's 3-ply and it matches the pickguard on the front. Point to Jet! Speaking of backplates, I'm currently working on a video all about backplates. On or off, or other options. I'll be trying out all different kinds, modding with files, velcro, magnets. If anything, it should be a laugh. And you'll be able to find it up here once it's done. Number 15, colours / finish. I do like the dragon fruit finish. It's a bit different and it really pops, although I think it would look way better against the maple fretboard. So thankfully we've got those available now, although not on the dragon fruit. But I'd be tempted to like swap necks, it doesn't matter. No, let's not do that. I don't dislike this Jet colour, but I do have an issue with how heavily Jet enhanced their product images on their website. Don't expect to get the same colour as in the pictures. In most cases the actual guitar colours are more muted, paler, a bit dull. And if you want to see a video of me ranting about that for about 20 minutes, there's a video up there. The PRS one looks just as great in real life as it does in the product images. Jets also have some limited edition colours worth checking out, and you can find them on the internet. If it's still there. Is the internet still there? I don't know. Another point to PRS because the new colours are awesome and the Jet colours are dodgy. Number 16, playability. Despite being an affordable Strat-alike guitar, the Jet still seems to have some vibe or mojo going on, and for me it's a much more enjoyable playing experience. The PRS on the other hand, to me, has no vibe at all and feels a bit sterile and lifeless. This is a big point for Jet here. Number 17, accessories. Well, the PRS comes with a fairly decent gig bag, which is valued anywhere between £35 to £60. Used, new, you can't really buy them new, so yeah, it's about that. £50, something like that. Both guitars come with their respective trem arms and adjustment keys, and the Jet comes with a cable, which I'll probably never ever use. No gig bag with the Jet. I don't know who to give the point to here. I mean, you're kind of paying for a gig bag within the price. Do you even want it? Let's just give the point to PRS. And finally, number 18, price. Another obvious one, I think. I went on the low end for both. The lowest I could see the PRS online is like £599, but that's reduced from £849, and it looks like the newer ones are going to be priced around £899. The cheapest I've seen the Jet online currently is £159, so the PRS is like 4 to 5 times the price as the Jet. I'd happily spend another £150, and I have done, on mods, upgrades to the Jet, where if I retested this, the Jet would probably beat the PRS in most categories, except for resale of course. So I'm giving the final point to the Jet. So, in summary, according to my hugely flawed analysis, the PRS wins it 11 to 7 points. So, how did you score it? Which one does it for you? Any experience with either of these guitars? Let me know in the comments, let's share. I tried to remain mostly unbiased in this one. I don't know if you could tell or if it came across, but I much prefer the Jet. Even though the PRS won, I just think the Jet's a better playing guitar. And with some minor upgrades, it would be a killer guitar. Even with the PRS reduced to £599, I still don't think it's worth it. Not when you can get a Jet for something like a quarter of the price. You can get 4 Jets if you want. You can get a fleet of Jets if you wanted. If resale value is important to you, then that's fair enough, as long as you're happy. So if you found any of this content useful, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free, I think. There should be a wee circle with my name on it, here somewhere. It's a wee white circle. You just click on that and there's a wee subscribe thing, and then that's it, that's you, you're subscribed. Thanks for that, thanks for subscribing, cheers. You can always unsubscribe later, but please don't. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. See you later!